Hello, this is True Dyer speaking.
Hi, Sheriff. It's Mitch Gill in Ovalon. Hope all is well.
Hey, Mitch. How's it going?
Doing great, doing great. How about yourself? What is the proper pronunciation? Is it Sharif or Sharif?
Sharif. Yep, you got it.
Sharif. Okay, got that right. Got that right. Hope you're doing well. And thanks so much for taking out the time to chat with me, especially on such short notice.
Yeah,
Still
thank
okay
you.
to chat?
Yeah, of course.
Great. And before we get on to business, you still must be smiling ear to ear about the Michigan national title, right?
Hey, you got it. I'm super happy. It was amazing. I was hoping the Lions could do something a little similar, but shoot, we'll take one.
Yeah, you know what? That's pretty impossible. Michigan win the national title. That's impressive. And then the Lions. But you know what? That's interesting. That was a really brutal loss.
It was.
The Lions had a great season, but the coach. Last time I checked, go up 17 points. There's nothing wrong with that.
Man,
Took a
at
field
all.
goal, but he was a riverboat gambler. But they had a great season, right?
Yeah, no, he was all or nothing for sure this year.
Right, right. That was his thinking. Let's just go for it with the Lions, and we'll keep going for it. And
Yeah,
but they should be back, and it was a great season. But Michigan,
agreed.
that was
Yeah, that was
a great
amazing.
season.
That was really good.
Absolutely. So thanks again for taking out the time to chat with me, Sharif. Just to give you a little background on myself, and I promise I won't bore you, anything like that. I've been recruiting in enterprise software sales for many years. I was on my own. If you've ever heard of companies like DocuSign and
Yeah,
SAP, I was with them. And I've been
nice.
part of the Inovalon team. It's been over a year now. It's been a great experience working with some great people. I've had over 25 hires,
Mm,
good culture, and one of the real key reasons why I joined them is that we sold so many different SaaS type software products to the healthcare field, and the healthcare field still continues to grow. It's a great space, so some really great things going on. And what made me reach out? You applied to and thank you for your interest in Novalon. You applied to the SDR role. I see you're over at InstaWork.
yep.
And before we discuss your background, I always like to be 100% transparent. Now, this role, we have a great role. It's an SDR role for the vigilance team, who we recently bought them out.
Okay.
We always have great purpose to buy them out. Now, beforehand, as I said, I'm always transparent. This role, and there's a lot of opportunity to move up the chain and do well here. It's a long-term opportunity. The base, it's 52, and it's 70K at plan. 52 base and 70K at plan. And I ask for you, Sharif, should we continue on with our conversation? I always like to bring that up in advance.
Yeah, definitely. Let's continue the conversation, but I really do appreciate the transparency. It's great to
Yes,
see.
yeah, get that in the way. Why go 3 or 4 meetings
Yeah.
and you just don't you have no expectations. So we got that out of the way. So tell me a little about your background. I see you're over at SDR at InstaWork, which I've heard of them before. So tell me a little about what you're doing now, and I'll jot down some notes.
Nice. Yeah, definitely. So at InstaWork, you said you heard a little bit about them. Pretty much I'm on the mid-market to like enterprise level teams where I'm selling to these larger corporations, modern staffing, contingent labor, and I'm reaching out to like C-levels, chief operating officer, VP of HR, just depending on, company size. And in about my 6 months that I've been there, I've performed like the ramp up period 220% to quota. Last month, I believe I was at 5 or 6 qualified demo set. I've already got like 2 deals on like closed deals on the book, and this month I'm sitting around 6 qualified demo completes as well. And what the daily looks like in terms of like metrics numbers, doing about 50 outbound cold calls, and I usually start my cadence with a personalized and strategic outbound like email. So either checking out their LinkedIn, finding a couple facts about them, and so about 100 outbound touches a day. I'm still currently with him. The biggest reason I'm, in the market looking to make a transition is that it's a hybrid role. And out in Phoenix, I just moved recently to Mesa, which with traffic, it can get over an hour plus each way. So, just looking to make a transition. And then as well, like the healthcare field definitely interests me. I mean, probably 4 or 5 years ago, like when I first broke in like the tech and online space, I was working for Via Benefits Insurance Services, which kind of sparked my interest in to see how big the healthcare space really is.
Excellent. Okay, so you're in the SDR role, right?
Right.
And you've been at InstaWorks 6 months, and certainly understand that gets to be a client with the commute that they change it an hour each way.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah.
I'm from the New York area, so I get it.
Yeah.
So you're doing SDR work, and how many reps are you kind of like supporting, getting leads for?
Right now, so I'm assigned 2 account executives. So it's like a round robin style. Whenever I'm setting those meetings up, it's going between one of my like, AEs.
Okay. Got it. So you're supporting 2 account executives. Sounds like you have some really focused KPIs, like 50 outbound cold calls, 100 via cold calling or emails, right?
Correct. Yep.
Great. Okay. So, what are some of the tools that you use? Do you use Salesforce? Let's get a little bit of an idea, Sharif.
Yeah. So definitely using Salesforce. I've been using Salesforce for a few years now, like in most of my tech roles as well. We're using SalesLoft, Gong, Chili Piper, like the entire G Suite. And then outside of that, I've got some other like just cool AI tools like Magical AI, which is pretty good for personalized like LinkedIn messages, things of that nature. And we're communicating on Slack as well.
Great. Okay, that gives me a
Yeah,
little
Zoom
bit of an
Info
idea.
too
So you're,
is definitely a
you're
help.
utilizing all the tools
Yeah,
possible.
Sales Navigator.
We offer as well. We use Salesforce, all different types of tools for you to be successful. Do you have any experience, and that's okay if you don't, selling or working into any type of healthcare?
So I don't have experience like selling into enterprise level healthcare
Okay.
roles. I mean, in the past, like I've done some like freelance work on platforms. I'm not sure if you heard of Glen Coco, which is one where they partner with about 30 different SaaS companies, and they'll have like different like one-off campaigns or sometimes just rotating campaigns where you can cold call for like fintech companies, healthcare companies, SaaS startups, the whole 9 yards. So I mean, here and there, I have called around on some, but not in like a full role in my past experience.
That's okay. Okay, so maybe you've cold called on some healthcare, right?
Yeah, definitely cold call. Took a lot of inbound calls too in the healthcare field.
Perfect. And forgive me for not knowing, I've heard of the company. What is the company InstaWork? What's their focus on what they're selling?
Yeah, so they're selling a modern staffing solution of like contingent labor. So, for an example, some of our biggest partners are stadiums. We as well like work in the healthcare field with different hospitals. We work with, I mean, these like Bon Appetits, your Compass, your Airmarks, and we provide them whether it's just general laborers, it could be warehouse associates, attendants, someone for pick and pack, back of house, front of house, pretty much any type of position that they could use, whether it's just temporary or maybe using that as like a temp to full-time growth model is kind of what our solution and software looks like.
What is what's the average sale? So how would is it like an attendance software? How would you categorize it? What would you call it for someone like myself who's so technically challenged?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say it's a staffing solution. It's, for an example, the sales cycle can obviously vary. It's a little bit longer sales cycle of like some of the companies we're working with, like the cart.com, like your 3PLs, or just like the giant MSAs that we maybe have with some of these like Hiltons, where you've got to take it up a few different chains and levels to get that agreement signed. But
Right.
as well, if it's maybe a smaller, just like one-off warehouse or like party rental company, I mean, we can pretty much get them onboarded and closed and like have people showing up within 24 hours at a 92% fill rate. So sales cycle can be as little as 24 to 48 hours or as long as 12 months, depending on the size of the deal.
Right, so the sales cycle really varies. It could be a large enterprise deal.
Yeah.
Got it. So I'm looking here. Okay, so you got involved with SDR. I'm a fan of software. You were at this Wealth University and kind of like a real estate. Give me a little bit of an idea in terms of, what you were doing before, very briefly.
Yeah, so I would say real estate is where I kind of started off in the sales world. That was my first endeavor, full time, doing about 300 dials a day with a multi-line dialer, and I was like full cycle in charge of my deal. So from lead generation to calling up a for sale by owner or someone with an expired listing, I was then setting the appointment, going on that listing appointment myself, and walking them through our 151 step marketing plan, and then hopefully goal was to get them signed up for me to be their listing agent. As well, I represented some buyers. I did about 2 million in volume, like my first year full time as an agent. From there, I started at Decide, stayed at Decide, which was formerly Locker Dome Technologies, close to about a year and a half, going on 2 years, where I started as an SDR. We were selling back then it was machine learning, but I mean, now I would just call it like an AI advertising solution, which could just pretty much scale up or scale down. We were placing ads on like Microsoft, CNN, Yahoo, and from there I got promoted to account executive. I would say towards the end of like that year and a half to 2 years was 2022, like January, when the tech space took a big hit. So they kind of had to downsize like 35% of the company. And then from there, that brought me to Wealth University, which was a virtual staffing agency that me and a few others founded together. And pretty much I was running, wearing a million different hats. So I was in charge of like content creation, lead generation, bringing in traffic. We set up our own funnel. And then as well, we set up a lot of corporate partnerships with other companies, whether it was AI companies to facilitate like the distribution of the applications for our clients, whether it was to, coach them, educate them on resumes, and then as well, like the corporate partnerships for companies who are hiring kind of like a headhunter or executive placement type of thing.
Perfect. No, that gives me a little bit of an idea. And hey, you're establishing your career. I always say it takes a little time, and you graduated in March 2020. What a year, right?
Yeah.
Can't make it up. So anyway, I want to see first, do you know anything about Inovalon? And that's okay. I mean, you applied to the role, and I wanted to get a feel. Do you know much about us? We're based in Bowie, Maryland. So do you know much about us?
Yeah, I mean, I have a general overview of just like the kind of end-to-end solution that you are offering with AI and machine learning as well, and just kind of simplifying like processes, whether it's for members who are looking for different outcomes with their plans, whether it's for these different like providers, and then as well, like obviously with the pharmaceutical side too.
Perfect. No, we cover every aspect. We get involved a lot in analytics, data, and revenue cycle management. And we cover all different sectors into healthcare. If it's payers, pharmacy, providers, and recently I've done a lot of work with pharmacy, but now they have me on payer. And when it comes to Inovalon, and I want to let you know, we've been around for over 20 years. So
Wow.
We're very, very established. And what I could say is that, we hire within. So if you're really looking for a career opportunity, this role, it's remote. This role, it so happens it's remote. We have a kind of a policy. If you're within 50 miles within an office, they come in 2 days a week. We are not building an office. We're not putting an office in Phoenix. I just want to let you know that.
Okay.
So this is a remote role. Now, if they change, don't blame me. I just want to let you know I'm
Yeah.
just the middleman.
Okay.
So, what I could say is that in Ovalon, Sharif always has a focus in terms of how we could get bigger. What could we do? How could we improve our data? And recently, they bought out a company called Vigilance, Vigilanz. And I always simplify it, as like I said before. This is like a clinical surveillance platform that brings full data circle. So what they do is, when it comes to a data company, I always kind of break it down, is that we try to get the most information possible for, maybe example A, drugs, on what is the most successful. How can a hospital, how can a payer, how can a doctor get the most information possible via data from our SaaS platform, if you follow me?
Yeah, I follow you.
So we are always growing. This Vigilance has been kind of business as usual, and we are growing our SDR team. So what we're looking for is someone not only could be an SDR, but someone who wants to establish themselves a career within in Ovalon. We ask for like a year or so, maybe a year or two commitment to be an SDR. And it sounds like sales is something that might be of interest to you. Am I right in
100% it
saying
is.
that?
100% sales is a passion for me.
Right, and you know what? Hey, you went from computer science as you're an SDR, so you have to believe when it comes to sales, SDR, you're motivated to make some money.